Hello again. My name's KRusso. I'm with the Wrongful Death and Injury Institute, and I've been encouraged by others to post these unprofessional videos. And by unprofessional, I mean a videographer has not taken them, has not instructed me on how to format them, do all the bells and whistles. I have laid that aside in order to do something different, in order to raise awareness through video rather than the written word, although I prefer the written word, to highlight severe issues surrounding prison healthcare and death issues across the country. And I'm motivated to do this today due to a recent slurry of news articles that I've been forwarded and I have found online highlighting some death issues of inmates, specifically in key states. And I really don't know where to start. I'm absolutely dumbfounded at the level of reporting which I'm reading. I'm horrified and completely baffled at the comments made by family members. I'm not baffled by the comments made by the prison system, but I am baffled and highly concerned as a result of the comments made by the families. And one of the main reasons I'm baffled is because of the fact, more oftentimes than not, inmate sickness can be dealt with in real time, effectively, to obtain for that inmate not only the needed health care that's being delayed or denied, but the medications that they're in need of. It can be done, and the people that job rests with are not the system. It's with you, the families. I've said this over and over again for decades. The prison system is not going to change. It hasn't changed. It has never changed for the benefit of the inmate. It has changed for the benefit of the system. Prisons and jails are not going to go out of existence. They're here to stay. Your states and your counties are in the business of fulfilling the legal requirements, always with an eye on the bottom line, in order to break even or make money. And the contract providers contracted at the local, state, and federal level are absolutely contracting to provide a service not to lose money, but to make money. Unless and until you family members that have individuals locked up in a jail and a prison cell wrap your head around that fact, you will continue to be on the gerbil wheel of this healthcare delivery system and the brick walls you encounter when your loved one dies within the system. Let me give you an example of one of the articles that has tripped my trigger lately. I'm just gonna paraphrase and read what was taken out of this article that I wrote on our blog at the Death Institute. And here's what I'm gonna say. When you as a family member are told that a medical staffer can't talk to you when you call them, and they're citing medical confidentiality laws, and that the department can't release medical records or documents to you or the media or anybody else that's asking for them that clearly would show whether nurses check vital signs between an arrival time and at an assigned destination facility and a death, you as a family member need to know that citing HIPAA laws is the automatic default standard cookie cutter response that the jail and prison system administrators are going to give you, as well as the medical providers. If you had been diligent, there would not even be the necessity of requesting those records, because if it was done right, you would have already had those records in your possession. And again, there is so much you can and should be doing during the incarceration of your loved one, yet you don't do it. Let me give you another example. When you read an article of an in-custody death that states, quote unquote, no details were released by a medical examiner's office about the circumstances surrounding a death and an autopsy, due to the fact that an autopsy was to be performed on a certain day. Families are clueless of the fact that these medical examiners are contracted medical examiners. It doesn't matter if they profess to be a forensic pathologist or not, and it doesn't matter if a system touts that they contract with a forensic pathologist. Contracted medical examiners do not and will not conduct a forensic autopsy. They're not hired to do that. They are hired to do a straight line, generic autopsy. They don't review medical records. Their testing of any samples done is premeditatedly restricted, and they effectively get their instructions from the jail or prison administrators. It's your responsibility as a family member to know what you can do and you should do with respect to these contracted medical examiners. But again, you don't know what needs to be done due to your own lack of information, knowledge, and how to apply both. And as that result, the net result of that lack of knowledge is that key information on the front end falls by the wayside, is never requested or documented. All this is avoidable. Let me give you another comment made in these articles. Comments that medical records from past prisons stay stored at off-site locations and are generally transferred to the secure assigned detention facility within 24 to 48 hours is laughable. That is usually not the case. If those records are by chance forwarded from one detention center to another, the accuracy and totality of those records is not complete. Again, families should be doing much to ensure that this is done. You have the authority and the power and the right to make sure that medical records follow that inmate wherever she or he may be transferred. But you do not do it because you do not have the information and the tools and the know-how to carry that out. Let me give you another comment. Comments to the effect that officials at a sheriff's department don't evaluate medical decision-making as part of their death investigation is not quite accurate. In-custody deaths demand and require a complete morbidity and mortality review, which comprises and requires all administrators from all departments, including medical contractors, to be in attendance. That review requires that all participants lay out all of the information specific to their department and exactly what took place in order to determine what went wrong, where there were cracks, and how an inmate fell through the cracks, if in fact they did. Part of that actual process involves correctional and medical staffers collectively reviewing their individual and collective processes. That obviously, contrary to what the sheriff's department just said in this op-ed, is that evaluations of medical decision making and how those decisions were made diverted from correctional policy and procedure and policies and procedures specific to the medical care contractors. Two different sets of policies and procedures dealing with two different departments, two or more departments, because you're dealing with medical health and mental health care. Let me conclude this video by saying this to you families. Little is going to change, even when lawsuits are filed. And that fact in and of itself is another blog piece and another video entirely. Litigation is not always the answer. Unanswered questions, little accountability, and healthcare that falls short is going to continue. Inmates are going to continue to be sick. They're going to continue to incur permanent medical disabilities, and they are going to continue to die unless and until you, as family members, step up, learn how to deal with the systems that your loved one is forced to deal with and can't deal with on his own. And he can't deal with it on his own because that system is going to go out of their way to allow him to obtain the adequate, needed, sufficient to the health care that he or she is in need of. Their goal, correctional-wise and private contractor-wise, healthcare contractor-wise, is one, and that is cost containment. And they are going to be aggressive and relentless in achieving that goal. Thanks for listening. I'll be doing these every time I read another article that falls grossly short.